Hey, what's poppin', y'all? All right. Finna roll up. Not even finna roll up. We finna turn up a little bit. Get to these questions. Do a little bit of libations. You know what I'm saying? How y'all doing today? Let's go ahead and, I don't think I can show nothing on camera, so let me just keep everything out of camera. We out here grounding. Stay grounded, keep them feet in dirt, sand, water, grass, or ground, cement, if it has earth underneath it. So if it, when I say earth, like grass or dirt. So if it's like a cement block or a piece of cement that has earth underneath it, it's still conductive, so you can still ground to that. Let's open this and we're gonna post some. We start this off with Eshu, Ashe, Ogun, Ashe, Yamaya, Ashe, Oshun, Ashe, Aset, Ashe, Asar, Ashe, Haru, Ashe. That's all we're gonna do for right now. Ashe. All right, so got a few questions. Now, witchcraft. Vodou is not witchcraft, for one. Let's start with there. I'm gonna answer these questions that someone in the comments asked some questions, so I'm gonna answer the questions. They some good questions, so I figured instead of answering them through text, I might as well just answer them. Make a video answering the questions. All right, so let's get started. All right, so witchcraft. Some gas right here. I wish I could show y'all this. So witchcraft, people call Vodou witchcraft. Vodou, V-O-D-U-N, silent N. It's pronounced Vodou. So that started off in the area we call today Benin. That's where that started. Now, animism came a long time before that, and there's a lot of similarities with animism. What it looks like to me is our ancestors took animism, excuse me, and they made a different system off of animism. If you're familiar with animism, then you know where I'm coming from. So it would be an extreme coincidence for Vodou and animism to not be, they have too many similarities for for them to be their own, if that makes sense. Like, it's too many similarities with Vodou and animism, and animism came before Vodou. We got evidence of animism all the way back to like 60,000 years. Some say 40, some say 60,000. That's debatable. But regardless, animism been here for over 40,000 years with documented evidence, carbon dated, and different artifacts and different evidence to back it up. So, and you can go look that up, animism, A-N-I-M-I-S-M. I think that's how you spell it. So anyways, Vodou has over 10,000 years of evidence to back it up, all right? So, and it's very similar to animism. So it looks like they took animism and incorporated a different system with a lot of similarities. But instead of, but anyway, let's just jump into it. So, so witchcraft. Vodou, none of the Vodou sects are witchcraft, all right? I say Vodou because that's the oldest sect, S-E-C-T. That's the oldest sect of Vodou. Is, you know, Fa or Vodou, around Benin area. Over 10,000 years ago, as far as evidence is concerned. It's way older than that, but we have over 10,000 years of evidence. If you just want to look it up, Wikipedia, encyclopedia, whatever. If you look up West African Vodun, V-O-D-U-N, or if you look that up, and you'll see there's over 10,000 years of evidence recorded for that. So, witchcraft, it's not witchcraft. Witchcraft is completely different. And it depends on which craft are we talking about. Witchcraft, W-H-I-C-H, not W-I-T-C-H, craft. So anyways, witchcraft is people that do negative things to get results. All right, so if a person is doing something negative to get results, that's considered witchcraft. All right, so the spiritual system or religion, whichever word you rather use, the spiritual system itself is not witchcraft, because the spiritual system, Vodun, that just means spirit or deity or entity, or some say soul. It depends on where you at and who you ask. But for the most part, let's just say spirit. That's what Vodou means, right? So spirit or energy, right? So witchcraft is when you doing negative things to get results. So in Vodou, you don't do negative things to get results. And who's to say what's negative or positive? Anything that puts out negative energy in the universe will be considered negative. All right, so yeah, so that's the whole witchcraft thing, right? All right, so we passed that, right? So Vodou spread just like slavery has spread, and just like you know, our ancestors, they traveled. Excuse me, they didn't travel, but I mean, they did travel, yeah. Over 60,000 years ago, yeah, they were doing a lot of traveling. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about when they were stolen and they were moving around, right? So when they were stolen from Benin, Nigeria, Ghana, those areas, Senegal, those West African countries in that area, they were taken to different countries, all right? You know, Haiti, Jamaica, South America, Central America, and not in that order. So the names spread. You know, they went to Dominican Republic, they went to Cuba, they went to Puerto Rico. So the names changed. So Vodun or Fa changed from that name to, depending on where you were at. If you were in West Nigeria, it was called Isheshe. Or some people call it Ifa. If you were in East Nigeria, where most of my ancestors is from, the Igbo tribe, then it was called Odinani or Odinaala. If you were in, just depends on where if you were in Haiti, it was called Vodou. If you were in, it depends on where you were at, you know, whether it was Santeria, Lukumi, Ganduble, 21 Divisions, so on and so on. They all different Santeria, they all different sects, S-E-C-T-S, of Vodou. You see what I'm saying? So the only thing that changed is the names. Slightly names changed. For example, you have Eshu and Isheshe. And in Vodou, you have you have well, in Odinani you have Ikwenzu, right? Ikwenzu is basically the same as Eshu, which is basically the same as Papa Legba. So if you went to Haiti, you would the deity of crossroads that has a lot to do with transferring information, transferring messages, opening roads, things like that. You would deal with Eshu or Iquinzu. If you in Odinani, it's Iquinzu. If you in Isheshe, it's Eshu. If you in Vodun, it's Elegwa. Some people say Legba, some people say Papa Legba. If you in Haiti, it just depends on where you at. So the point is, they're the same deities, but the names changed. The roles slightly changed. And so anyways, another one of the questions is, who are our enemies? All right. So as I told the person in the comment section, you can go through divination. You can go through a divination process to get answers for questions that we have from the other side, you know. And so, long story short, who are our enemies? Our enemies are, and I'm answering this. I'm not answering this from. I didn't do divination to get this answer, but I know these answers to these questions because I've already been through that. So anyways, our enemies, black people's enemies, are people that are against progress to black people. So that could be a black person, a white person, an Asian person, a Latino person, whatever. The race doesn't matter, the color doesn't matter, ethnicity doesn't matter. Anybody that's trying to hold black people back and not help us progress forward, are either helping, so basically our enemies are people that try to set us back. All right, those are those who our enemies are. You feel me? So if it's a person that's white and he's a racist, then he's our enemy. If it's a black person that's in a gang and he unalives other black people because of whatever the reason, but he's unaliving people the same color as, if it's a person in the gang that's unaliving people the same color as him, then he is an enemy, okay? Or a devil, or whatever you want to call it, okay? So if it's a black person that's unaliving black people because of where they're from, or because of what gang they're in, or because of whatever the reason, that's an enemy. That's who your enemy are. That's who your enemy is. Enemies are people that try to unalive black people, or that try to promote spirituality and religions that aren't native to our African ancestors. You see what I'm saying? So, for example, a lot of people try to argue that Christianity or the Bible is African, right? Which is partially true, because some of it is African. The thing is, a lot of the Bible verses was taken from Africa, and they were taken from the pyramid texts inside of the pyramids. And for example, Psalms 84:11, your Lord God is a sun and shield, S-U-N, not S-O-N. Psalms 84:11, your Lord God is a sun and shield. So that verse was taken from the tomb of Akhenaten. Okay, so that's the African verse, which is in the Bible. All right, so there's African verses in there, but the Bible is not an African book. Now, for those that want to talk about the Ethiopian Bible, you have to realize that even that Ethiopian Bible, the oldest scriptures in that Ethiopian Bible were taken from the pyramid text. Why do I say that? Because the same scriptures in that Ethiopian Bible are the same scriptures that are in some of those pyramids. All right, the pyramid text, for example, you know, that's in there. So at the end of the day, yeah, the Ethiopian Bible is African, obviously. Yeah, that's true, but that was taken from Kemet. That was taken from Egypt, you feel me? That was taken from there, and then they put it in a book, and then, you know, that's how that went, feel me? Let's take another sip. Okay, so we know who the enemies are, and we know where the Bible came from, all right? Oldest scriptures came out the pyramid text. The oldest scriptures in any Bible, I don't care which one you read, in the King James Version, the Gideon's Version, the Ethiopian Bible, whichever version you want to read, they all came from those pyramid texts in different scriptures and hieroglyphs inside the pyramids. As a matter of fact, you know what? Soon I'm gonna go ahead and prove that. I'm gonna go ahead and show some hieroglyphs and show the translation and how they coincide. But anyway, so boom, so we passed that. So we explain what witchcraft is. We explain who the enemies are. You know, if anybody that's black and they promoting Christianity, that's an enemy. If they black and they promoting the Bible, that's an enemy if they promoting the Bible to get you to follow the Bible, because that's not what our ancestors practiced before we was colonized. Even if you want to say, oh, well, they had it in Ethiopia before they came. Well, you're not Ethiopian. If you Ethiopian and you want to follow the Ethiopian Bible, more power to you. Sure, go ahead. But if you're not Ethiopian, that's not for you. All right? If you're West African like me and most of the rest of the African Americans, then you need to go with your roots. The bone marrow inside of your body has DNA that connects to our spirituality. So you might want to stay with what your ancestors practiced, because there's more power in that for you. If you Ethiopian, that's a different story. Because the thing is, what you got to understand is, if you Ethiopian, is even before that, before the Ethiopian Bible, guess what they were practicing? It was the spirituality of Buddha. Not Buddha like you think in East Asia. No, it's called Buddha, but it's not the same. It's a religion. It's a spirituality called Buddha. It's the same as Vodou. It's the same. You have the creators. You have deities, which in Haiti, in Vodou, they call it Loa. In Isheshe, they call it Orisha. You know, it just depends on where you at. If you in Benin, they call it Tron. It just depends on where you at. It's the same thing though. If you in North Africa, in Kemet, they call it Neteru. You see what I'm saying? But it's all the same thing. These different deities. They tried to break that down. The 72 demons of Goetia. And I'll get into that. That's another topic, but we're gonna get into that too. Break that down. The 70 plus demons of Goetia. I believe it was 72. Okay. So, anyways, let's keep going. Now, what did black people do to get put into slavery? I don't want to say that word, you feel me? So what did black people do to get put into bondage, right? That's a complicated question, and it's a complicated answer. It depends on what time of the timeline we're using, and it depends on what area are we talking about. All right, so you have people that were snatched up during raids. You have people that were invaded. You have people that were sold off, auctioned off. You had people that were lied to. They thought they were going somewhere else and ended up getting took and sold. So a lot of wildlife out here. So yeah, it was different scenarios for different situations. It really just depends on the timeline. It depends on what country are we talking about, and what time are we talking about, what tribe are we talking about, because different stuff happened to different people, and a lot of this different stuff happened to all of the tribes. You see what I'm saying? So some people were just going out to go fishing, ended up getting caught slipping and got took. Some people were going out farming. Some people were going out hunting and they got caught slipping and got took. Some people got invaded. They had an invasion. Ships landed on shore. They came deep. They tore up everything they seen. They had weapons. They had GUNs. They had cannonballs. They had all that stuff. We didn't have that advanced weapon technology. So yeah, it just depends on who you are, where you were at, and what time, and that's the reason why we was took. It wasn't like, no, oh, you did this, you guys are cursed, and no, it had nothing to do with that. It just so happened, the Arabs were the first ones to do it. They took us. They came over there to West Africa. They came to North Africa. They did that. They took North Africa. They still in North Africa right now. That's why North Africa looks Arab, because of the invasion. The Hyksos, the Berbers, all of them Middle Easterners, they came over there to North Africa, took over that, and they still have it, and we ain't got it back yet. They spread Islam, pushed that. You have to be that, or either you're getting unalived. That's just what it was. So there was no, there's no one answer to the question, oh, why did we get took into captivity? It's the same reason why other people got took into captivity. The Irish got took into captivity. A lot of people got took into captivity. It just really depends on the timeline, the scenario, the situation, where you were at, what you were doing, because it's different stories for different people. Okay, so that's why that happened. It was for greed. It was for compensation, for fundings. So that's why. Feel me? It's an easy way to live. No work. You can have somebody else work for you. Like, they looked at it like, why go to work when I can have somebody else work for me? That's why we got took. It's a lot of answers why we got took. Got caught slipping. That's why we got took. Didn't have no weaponry, advanced weaponry. That's why we got took. Venturing off. That's why we got took. Not being together. Warring with other tribes. Warring. W-A-R. Warring with other tribes. Going to war with different tribes. That's why we got took. Helping our enemies that don't look like us. Buying artillery for them. And being a part of the invasion on the opposite team. You know what I'm saying? It's not like it was just all Europeans that came and got us. No. They had some of us with them. Yeah. Oh yeah, we're gonna go into that too. Yeah, the Germans, when they came, they had blacks in their army that came on to take us. Yes, they had Africans. Germans had Africans in their military when they came and get us. Same with the British. It wasn't just them against us. They had some of us. They had Africans on their side as well. Yeah, see, this stuff is deep. It's a lot of stuff that they don't talk about, and everything that I'm saying, I'm gonna put up the references so you can see it, because I'm not just making this stuff up. You feel me? I'm not freestyling. You feel me? Okay, so those are the reasons why. All right, how to better the black community. How to better the black community by spreading the truth. In order for us to be better, we have to, mosquitoes, man. In order for black people to move, to progress and move forward, we have to unite, and we have to set aside our differences. President Ibrahim Traore, he's a Muslim. I don't like Islam, but is he the best person to ever step foot on soil since I've been born? Yeah. Do I like his religion? No. Oh well, I still take a bullet for him. I still go there. I still put it on the line for him. I jump on the front line for him, because I know his motive. I don't care about his personal belief, his religion. Yes, I hate Islam. Yes, because I know where it came from, I know what it did, and I know what it's used to do. But it's hot out here. At the same time, I gotta put my differences aside. We're not gonna all be the same. We're not gonna all believe in the same, and that's fine. I don't condone following a religion that was made by Arabs. I don't condone that. I don't condone a religion that says he's the God of Israel, like the Bible say, the God of Israel. The chosen children of Israel are the Israelis, the Israelites. I don't condone that type of stuff. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm not Israeli. I'm West African. I'm African. I'm Nigerian. So that doesn't apply to me. You know what I'm saying? I'm not Palestinian. You know what I'm saying? The Bible is 4,000 years old. Okay, the oldest evidence is 4,000 years old, 2000 BC. That's the oldest, and it's not even that old. But I'm just giving you a few more years to have some, you know, to give you just some credibility, right? 4,000 years. We've been doing this way longer than 4,000 years. So when you come around here with your little new religion that just popped up 4,000 years ago, that's irrelevant, because, and it don't matter, it don't make sense to me, because my people was already doing, before you came 4,000 years ago with that story in the garden, and the sky god Yahweh, I call him a sky god because that's what he is, Yahweh. He created humans from dirt and water and formed them in the clay and blew breath into them so they can come alive. That's the same story in Vodou, Obatala. He created humans. He was a sky god. He created humans using dirt and water and formed it into clay. And Olodumare blew life into it. The stories differ depending on which areas you go to. But you see what I'm saying? Obatala's story is over 10,000 years old, with evidence to back it up. The Bible is only 4,000 years old. So I'm gonna believe what my ancestors had that came over 6,000 years before your Bible, your oldest Bible. I'm talking about the Ethiopian one, the oldest one, 4,000 years old. You can't go older than that. That's the oldest biblical evidence that you have, okay? So I'm not gonna follow that, especially when you killed all of the baby and children in North Africa, especially when you did that, because those Africans. So you telling me you the God of Israel, which is Palestine. So you the God of Israel, a Middle Eastern God, and you killed all of the North Africans before the Arab invasion. So the North Africans were black, like the Sudanese, before they moved to Sudan, because that's where they had to go. Okay, so now next, so that's how we could better the black community, spreading the truth, right? So the truth is find out who you are, because that's the truth. That's who you are. So you need to know your ethnicity. You need to know your DNA. You need to know your genealogy, right? So mine's, for example, I'm Igbo and Yoruba with a lot of other stuff, but the majority of my DNA is Igbo, right? So I'm Nigerian, okay, whether I like that or not, or Nigerian, because they don't want to. A lot of people don't like to use the term Nigeria. That's fine. I'm Nigerian, right? Naija, apostrophe N. I'm Nigerian, right? So at the end of the day, since I'm mostly Igbo with some Yoruba, mostly, that's most of my DNA, that's what I'm gonna follow. So I follow Isheshe, I follow Odinani, because that's my DNA, that's the makeup. You feel me? That's the DNA makeup. So I'm following my ancestors, and they've been doing that for over 10,000 years. So that's the truth, right? So I'm spreading that truth. So I'm not telling you what religion to follow, what spirituality to follow. What I'm telling you is go get your DNA and genealogy done so you can find out what you are and who you are. And that's when you decide what you want to practice and believe and preach. That's truth. Because let's say if you look up, you get your DNA done and you Nigerian, you Igbo Nigerian just like me, then that means we should be practicing Odinani and promoting Odinani. If you feel closer, if you got some Yoruba in you and you mostly Yoruba, then practice Isheshe. Or if you know what I'm saying? If you Ghana, if you got mostly Ghanaian DNA, then practice the Akan tradition. Spiritual system. It's the same thing as Vodou. It's the same thing. I mean, I can't say it's the same, but it's very similar. You know, it's just the names change, deities change, creators change. All right. So that's the truth, right? So that's what's going to better the black community, getting us back to our roots. Because once you get your roots, you get your foundation. Your foundation is strong. You know, then you get your culture. You can get your culture, your native spirituality, religion that your ancestors was practicing, all of that type of stuff, right? You feel me? So that's the truth, okay? And that's what's gonna build. That's what's gonna better the black community. That's the only thing. We're not gonna get out of this until we get it right on the spiritual side, because you got to have the spiritual and the physical. That's why Haiti was able to defeat the British, the Portuguese, the Spanish, the Germans, because they used the spiritual with the physical. You got to use both. Duality, physical with the spiritual. This mosquito's trying to eat my ass up. Let me hurry up and wrap this up. Will witchcraft lead the black man to rulership? Witchcraft, I don't think witchcraft will do it. But I know for sure Vodou will do it. Indeed. Because you know why? Because that's gonna unite us. Even no matter what sect of voodoo it is. If it's Odinani, if it's Santeria, Palomayambe, Gondouble, Hoodoo, in New Orleans, voodoo, or Isheshe, or whatever, the Zulu spiritual system, or the Kemet spiritual system, with the Neteru, whatever your DNA is, that's what you follow, that's what you promote, that's what you push. Especially if you feel tied to it, you know, if you feel a strong connection with it and you have your DNA in there, that's what you need to be promoting and pushing. That's the truth. That's what's going to better the black community, and that's what's going to lead us to rulership. Even President Ibrahim Traoré, he has Vodou practitioners that's on his side, that's working with him. He's working with Babalawos, and I'm going to show you the proof of that too. So it's not like he a Muslim and it's just he following Islam and that's it. Islam, the Arab Middle East tried to give over 200 mosques to President Ibrahim Traoré in Burkina Faso. He told him no, he rejected it. So he ain't on that, you feel me? He ain't on that. We don't need no mosque. We gotta build. You know what I'm saying? If anything, I feel him on that one. If anything, we don't need no mosque. Give us the money so we could build some voodoo temples. You feel me? Even if whichever, because he had spiritual systems before all of this stuff. You know what I'm saying? So before these Bibles, before these Qurans, we had that already. We've been doing this. You know what I'm saying? A couple 100,000 years ago, it wasn't nobody but us. So you feel me? But yeah, that wraps it up for about wraps it up for this one, and we finna get to this drink, get to these trees, and yeah, I'll see y'all in the next one.